What's up, guys? I made a great video. I was camping out in the outbacks of Nevada, which just is like an ocean of endless high desert land and mountains, and it was so beautiful out there. And I accidentally erased that whole video. Anyways, I'm here in Victorville, California right now. Yeah, I'm back in California, my home state. It's where I grew up. It's nicer than I thought it would be. Uh, Gas is more expensive here, but not shockingly expensive. It's not as hot as I thought it would be, so that's all good things if you're living in your car. So this is like something I've been thinking about, is like having children someday, and a lot of you say that I'm too old, or you have children and you can't imagine doing it in your later years. I guess I'm a little naive on that front, but I think one of the arguments, so like I'm thinking like maybe have children when I'm 60. I'm 50 now, and this whole like buying land and getting shelter and having a place that's completely paid off and a place I can always come back to among my travels around the world, where I don't have to worry about paying a rent or a mortgage. Like, it's a pretty considering that I'm going to pay for it in cash, it's a lot of money, and it's going to take a lot more time to save up that money than I thought it would. So, I'm going to try to get that all sorted out by the time I'm 55. I'm 50 now, so try to get that all sorted out by the time I'm 55. You see, the thing is, I don't want to be a 60, 65, 70-year-old man still paying rent to some other man, or still, don't have a place to go, or living in my car. Not that living in my car is a bad thing. I mean, this is the way I want to live right now, so it's not a bad thing, but you got to consider, like, okay, I'm in the parking lot of a Hilton hotel right now. There's always that chance that they can kick me out. I just want a place that I can go back to. I never have to worry about being kicked out. I never have to worry about justifying a visa to stay in this or that country. So yeah, I want to get that solved by the time by at least 60, right? But I'm shooting for 55. I'd say just a really rough estimate about how much I need for land, a basic shelter, and electricity and water set up, about $60,000. $60,000. I'm working on it. But yeah, it's going to take a lot longer than I thought. And it's like, okay, do you want children? I've never had this really strong drive. Like I've seen it in women in their 20s. It's like they have this strong biological drive to have children. I don't have that. I don't have that. And people say that it's like your mission in life, your purpose in life is to pass your genes to the next generation. I don't feel such a strong urge to do that, but the time's going to come when I am financially comfortable and I can have a 20 or a 30-year-old girlfriend when I'm 60 and give us a comfortable life and have a son or a daughter, and they won't have to, I guess they won't have to witness the stress that probably a lot of your parents, you saw in a lot of your parents. I saw it in my parents. My parents had me when they were in their 20s, and I saw them being poor and having low-paying jobs and being stressed about money and fights, like, and that's that's tough. And that's really tough on a young person to have all that responsibility, taking care of a child or children, and you're young, you're still immature, you struggling, you're broke. But at least in my case, if I have children when I'm 60, my children won't have to see me suffer like that, because I'll have already gone through that phase. And yeah, 60 years old is almost like that's the age of a grandparent. But when you think of a grandparent, maybe even when you think of your own grandparents, you think of them, okay, I'll think of my grandparents. They're all passed away now, but they were very loving. They always came and brought gifts, and uh, I remember them being very calm people at peace. And I think it's because they were in the later years of their life and they didn't have to bear all the responsibility of taking care of these shitty little children, these shitty little grandchildren. You know, and another thing about me, this is just a personal thing, but I don't believe that a man needs to be in a child's life for the first 5 years. A man doesn't need to be there. All an infant needs is like milk and a mother, and a mother, like a mother to be motherly and that feminine nurturing way that just a man doesn't have. And they need their diapers changed, and all that is relegated to a woman. And women are just, they're just more predisposed to deal with that stuff, the crying, the screeching, the screaming, the dirty diapers, the temper tantrums. Like, women are predispositioned and they're geared towards dealing with that stuff. Men aren't. I don't feel like I am. And I know this because when I lived in Japan, there was this one time I took this job in Kobe, and I was teaching. Wasn't really teaching. It was, so my little child students were like, not, there was some that were like 10 months old, and it went from like just, yeah, not even a year old up to like 5 years old. And there was a female Japanese assistant there, and they didn't need to learn English. They needed to learn basic human skills, like how to go to the bathroom, how to not get angry when the girl or boy next to you takes your pencil or the eraser that you like. You know, they were just learning basic human skills, how to socialize. And I mean, at that age, they're even struggling to socialize in their own language. So I don't know. I just learned from that experience that I didn't enjoy teaching kids that age. Then when I got my next job, which was also in the mountains of Kobe, I think in a previous video I briefly talked about it. It's the best boss I ever had, and I ended up working there for over 12 years. I just told my boss, I said, I don't want to teach kids under 5. So she always gave me kids, students. We were mostly teaching groups, ranging from 3 to 7 students. I said, don't give me kids under 5. She understood, she respected that. She gave those young ones to the other teachers. And the students I taught were mostly from ages 6 to 12. And I love that age group, because then it's like they're starting to come online, and that's the age where they start needing a fatherly discipline. So that's the way I see it. I see that I really don't need to be there the first 5 years, and most likely I'm guessing that the woman I have a child with is not going to be from America. She can be, but you know, she, like, just from my experience living in Uganda, I think it would be important for my child to grow up in Uganda, or if it's not Uganda, it could be somewhere in South America or wherever. But for me, it's important for my child to partially grow up in a less developed country than America, because I want my child to learn about modesty and to be humble. And I think kids that have grown up here in America and they only know America, they're so entitled. Like, I remember flying from Uganda to Miami, and then I was staying around Naples, and just Hadn't been in America in a long time, and I saw these kids zipping around on electric scooters, and a Ugandan child can't even imagine something like that. They don't even have smooth roads to ride a scooter on. I don't think there's anything wrong with growing up in an undeveloped country. Your child's going to learn modesty. They're going to learn manners and how to be respectful. When I was in Uganda, children would greet elders, which is basically everybody older than them, adults, by kneeling down on the ground. Very polite, very respectful. We don't really have those kinds of customs here in America, but I think they're important. It's important to learn to respect people, especially people older than you. So there's a lot of good reasons to raise your child in an undeveloped country. And I want my child to have that perspective so that when they come to America, they don't have this sense of entitlement like the children around them are going to have. They're going to appreciate what they have and probably have more empathy in the long run. So yeah, a child at 60 probably, most likely that's what it's looking like, with a younger wife, raising the child for half of its childhood, most likely in an undeveloped country. And I think, because I know how men are, it's like we're just like horny bobbleheads up until about 50. And even after 50, it's rough. But finally, I'm starting to feel a little bit of calmness in my life in regards to the horniness level, where I can just I still love women, but God, man, constantly chase and tail and thinking about sex and getting sex, it's exhausting. I finally feel like I have a little bit of calmness where I can focus on having a family and focusing on having a good relationship with my son or my daughter. So those are some of my thoughts. Let me know your own situation, what you think about what I said. It's always interesting to hear people's opinions and their perspective on this topic. I'm going to roll out in about an hour, and I'll be seeing my family today for the first time in 6 years. You guys have a blessed Thursday. Deuces.